antecedents back to ancient Egypt. And there's also the involvement of Germans here, both in Egypt and also in the United States. So I can't explain it other than to say that, yes, you're quite right. There is conspicuous repetition of the number 33 here. And my basic take on all of this is that the American manned space program is just so very different from what the public has been led to believe.
So you would support a bottom line that there has been the NASA very public one, which always is in budget disputes and various problems, but behind it there is another space program that is quite real and more advanced than what we're seeing publicly.
Oh, sure. I assign a very high probability to that likelihood that there is a secret parallel space program using non-conventional, non-aerospace technologies. Bottom line for me is that my research has shown, and the research of others, that there is a great deal more to the space program than NASA and the United States military have told the American people and the world. In all likelihood, manned exploration started much earlier, discovered much more, and has more ancient roots by far than we have been told.
And since the secret 1989 astronaut corps reported by the New York Times numbered 32, and that the White Sands V2 launch factory was numbered 33, and that the 1960s Egyptian space program factory was 333, I have been researching the possible meanings of 33 to the Egyptian and American space programs and to Freemasonry, which has its roots in the huge stone constructions of ancient Samaria and Egypt. The 33rd degree is the highest publicly known degree in Freemasonry. 33 is a higher octave of 6, which has traditionally and in sacred geometry been the flower of life or creation. The number 33 signifies illumination and freedom from religious dogmas and superstitions to the Freemasons, and they also relate to the fact that the human backbone contains 33 vertebrae, with the cranium or the intellect being at the top. 33 is also equivalent to 32 around 1. If you look at the roof of the United Nations General Assembly, you will see a large circular light surrounded by 32 smaller lights. If you look at the United Nations symbol, you will see a circle divided up into 32 sections, with the center being the 33rd. On the United Nations symbol, there are 13 leaves on the olive branch. The symbol for the Soviet Union has this feature as well, 32 rays emanating from the sun, with the sun being the 33rd at the center. 16 U.S. presidents are confirmed to have been Freemasons, and they include George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Lyndon Johnson, and Gerald Ford. The Freemason motto is also 3 Latin words, Ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. I find this research right now, Whitley, to be some of the most fascinating that I've ever done in my life, and I'm going to try to keep going.
And Linda, I think you are really onto something. And order out of chaos, if we think of that, we are increasingly facing administrations in the United States and governments all over the world which are concerned about increasing the amount of order and decreasing the amount of freedom, invading privacy in every way all over the planet right now.
It's absolutely true, and it makes all of us wonder if there was at one point on this planet a different intelligence that had a higher order of refinement in its relationship to the underlying math.
Now, wait a minute. What exactly do you mean by that? That's a very provocative statement.
Meaning that if you accept what seems to have come out of so many leaks to me and to others, that there has been some kind of non-human intelligence on this planet responsible for the genetic evolution of the planet, it then implies that it is that intelligence, especially in modern history of Sumeria and Egypt, that would have been teaching, that would have been guiding, that would have been responsible for what was happening with the construction of ziggurats and the huge stone pyramids. And if, from there, that refined intelligence is what the Freemasons were essentially linking to in the evolution of their history, today it all seems to be degenerating, in which it is no longer order out of chaos. It seems as if chaos is trying to bury order, and it raises in my own mind, what is the relationship of current Earth surface life humanity to other intelligences that are clearly manipulating this planet? But the fact that there is so much deterioration, it makes me wonder who is in conflict out there that is manipulating humans on the surface with so much disorder and chaos.
And what role do we play in it, a role that we are not allowed even to know about, except to sort of find whispers and subtle rumors about here and there?
Yes, and on the side of, there's one other very important point. Gary McKinnon, that you started with,
yes,
he stumbled into what may be the skeleton of a secret astronaut corps, exactly as the New York Times was reporting, but where he was in military computers. It was not NASA. NASA's public. He was on the military side of things. And if he has stumbled on to something so sensitive, a secret space program, the one thing that Richard Sauder and Jim Mars and Richard Dolan and I have talked about in great depth is, if this is true, then there is a criminal aspect to all of this in 2007, when this planet is up against the wall environmentally and needing new energy that is not fossil fuel. And if our government and or any other government already has technologies that are not dependent on fossil fuels, but are in fact lifting bodies using electromagnetic advanced propulsion systems, and they are keeping them secret while this planet is deteriorating, then criminal charges are there.
Well, Linda, that's very true, and unfortunately, secrecy is power, and governments are addicted to it, and they will keep on clinging to it even as they sink down into the morass of global catastrophe as the environment turns completely against us. And it's too bad, but that is exactly what will happen. Linda Moulton Howe, it's been great having you this week, as always, and I can hardly wait to see what and hear what your research into this area turns up again in the future.